Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be covering the JK Designs Embargo. Mine's a little bit dirty, but yeah. So these were basically sold at Blade Show. I believe he's doing auctions or raffles now for, well, that's how you get them. I picked this up for, I believe it was $11.50, or maybe it was $11.00. Some designs are the, I don't know what to call this, indented milled handle. It's made out of titanium, like everything else he makes. Blade is S35VN. This is number 16. And then for the spacers, I think these are kind of interesting. They are titanium blocks with just a hole in them, and then there's a barrel that sits in them and the two screws. And then he also does a pin system on these for weight. I currently have 3 of the pins in. They come default with 4. I've seen people run no pins. I've seen people run 2 pins. I've seen 1. You know, it allows you to customize your balance. These are very similar blade-wise looking to the Orca. Or at least in spirit. It's a little bit thinner than the Orca. The Orca has a little bit beefier of a blade. Handle gap is very similar between these two. The nipple design is also very similar, where the Orca basically has milled in Zen pins versus the stainless steel of the Embargo. Some things to note, I guess, with the Embargo, I'll move this off screen, are this one here came with the blasted blade, and with a lot of blasted blades, they tend to rust a little bit easier, and mine does have some minor surface rust on it. The tip on these is very beefy. You can see the concrete stained tip on mine here. This was, you know, thrown on concrete a couple of times at Blade Show, and I've been beating it a good bit. The edge on these is pretty fine. Still very sharp. I haven't been able to beat off the edge just yet, but you know, we'll see in time, because I know the Orca, this sucker here, I never, you know, dulled it or sharpened it or nothing like that, and it is dull as can be, just from beating the crap out of it. When it comes to spacer disassembly, I know Gold Dust has just released some carbon fiber spacers for it. I'm not sure if I'd run those or not, to be honest with you. I don't think this really needs any less ass weight. I think it's pretty good with just the 3 pins in it. The spacer double-sided barrel here is a little bit difficult to work with. These do use a T10 6x32, I believe, for the barrel spacers. They are a little bit shorter than what you'd see on the pivots. But yeah, all you have to do is pop out. I can get the barrel out. Oh, wait, never mind it. I'm dumb. I forgot the barrel doesn't just slide out. You take both screws out, and then your spacer just comes out just like that. Here's that barrel I was talking about. It's just a threaded, dual female-sided barrel. And all it does is sit within the spacer like so. I would take this apart, but to be honest with you, it is very difficult to do. This has given me more issues than a lot of his other knives. I think I dislike disassembling this one the most out of all of my JKs. I think it just that comes from the pins. They are really, you know, tight in there. It takes a lot of oomph to get the handle slabs apart. I normally use a Phillips screwdriver or a pivot needle or something like that, and then I literally line it up and then hammer it through, and that separates it a little bit. That's probably not the best way to do it if you're trying not to mar up your handles, but it was the only way I could get the sucker apart. The pivots are 6x32 as well. Pull that screw out. I believe these are just like every other JK 6x32, where they are a slightly smaller head, so you can't just drop in ones from UKM. The threads on these look normal for length. He also uses a 3/16 pivot, just like every other Bally, basically the default. His bushings are 250, and the washers are a custom thickness, which I'm not too big of a fan of, but when it comes to, I don't know, it seizes all of a sudden. When it comes to super tight tolerances, ooh. Oh, no, now we're all good. But when it comes to super tight tolerances, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes, That's weird. And I got a piece of dust in there, or some crud, when I took that screw out. Loosen that bad boy up. Good as new. There's very little play on mine. I have not touched the bushings or the washers for this thing. It sounds pretty dang good. Very bouncy. I guess my qualms with it are the length. Heck, before I get into my qualms though, and the length, let me weigh this for everyone just so we can, get a reading. This is in ounces because I'm American. So here is with the 3 pins in it. It comes in at 4.583. See if I can find those other pins real quick. One of them, and these will just be some stand-in 1/8" pins. I believe these are like the same ones he uses, but with the other 2 pins, you're probably looking at 4.623. So they do make a good bit of difference when it comes to that weight, and where they are on the handle, so far down, you're really gonna feel it. It's pretty polarizing. I got some crud on the back of the spine there. But moving on, my qualms with it are, I wish it was a little bit shorter. A lot of JK's stuff, I wouldn't say that it's long, and I wouldn't say that it's short, but it's not as long as this. I know it doesn't look like a ton on camera, but that little extra bit is definitely felt. I'm not really a fan of super long Bally's. Let's see. It's where the handles are just about lined up. So it's a tiny bit longer, but it feels a good bit longer than like the Orca. The Orca feels pretty small compared to this thing, and it looks pretty small in pictures as well compared to it. Is lined up. I know this video is a little janky, but it's how I roll. But anyway, so the thickness on them, I do like the thickness and handle dimensions. Let's see, we got that zeroed. So it's coming in at a height of 0.523. That's pretty similar to the Monarch, and a width of 0.555-ish at the bottom of the handle. These are tapered, so it does get slightly smaller towards the pivot, I believe. But I think the Zen pin nipple is pretty interestingly done. It doesn't pinch at all, so that's nice. I know my Orca's pinched me a couple times, but this I have not been pinched by yet. I guess some perks of it are, I am not a huge lover of channel stuff normally. I am a big fan of the rep just because of how replaceable the parts are. And I do like that this is sandwich, but I would say this one isn't really for me. I like the V1 Monarch a ton. This is my daily knife. This is what goes everywhere with me. There's not much of an edge left on it. It was beaten off, and then see where I took this really old stone to it. But the length on this, the balance, everything I love about this. It has some grit with all the hard edges. The Orca, I love the length on it. I love the balance on it. I love the tight tolerances. It just feels good. I guess the Embargo is just missing something that makes it super different from those two. The length, like I said, is a little long. And then the weight on it, it's just nothing like, there's no balance difference really between, or I guess, let me rephrase that. There's not a huge balance difference between the Orca and this. It's really just the length between the two. And that really kind of makes it a little bit boring for me. That's not saying that this is bad. I'm just saying that I wish it was a little bit more different. But yeah, so I guess that's my notes about the embargo. I'm probably keeping this one or selling it to a local buddy when he decides to buy it off me. We'll see. You know, until then, though, I will be flipping the crap out of this thing. I've been beating it, and I don't have anything to note negatively about beating it. It does take pretty good dings on it, though, compared to, like, you know, my Monarch sees way more beating than that does, and there are no big gouges or anything like that in the bottom of the handle. It almost looks unbeat. You know, it looks really basic. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on the embargo. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Cut My Finger. That's basically this channel, but through posts, and I post my mod work. And yeah, feel free to subscribe or share or like or whatever YouTube does. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.